Live. Let a few people trickle in. We're going live on YouTube and we are going live on Instagram today. And I usually go live on TikTok, but with the events of the last 24 hours, I wanted to go to both YouTube and Instagram to talk about what has happened and how reflecting upon it really gives me some unique insight into the battles that we're all facing in the world. Because as homeschoolers, as homesteaders, as truthers, as conspiracy theorists, as whatever you are, ultimately what we're talking about is we have a problem. Hey, Michigan, we have a problem with the system and we want to live a better lives and we want to build a better world for our children. And you see how passionate people are about that. You saw everything that's happened with Target over the last month, which to me is very exciting, right? Where people are saying enough is enough. We're not going to allow you to teach our children and indoctrinate our children into things that we don't believe in, that many of us, myself, I believe, are satanic, really bad stuff. And people were boycotting Target. And for me, I'm like, yeah, that's great. I've boycotted Target for years because I went into Target a couple of years ago one time and I saw their children's section and I was like, no, 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 no. We're not going to support this. We have all the bear books. That's awesome. And to me, that goes for everything. Kind of my test for companies is this company anti-American? And if the answer is yes, here's what I say to myself. Here's what I tell myself in my head. This is how I quit football. Because growing up, I was like obsessed with football. I loved the Patriots. I was a big Tom Brady fan. I was all about it. And as I started to wake up to the world, I'd say to myself, is this anti-American? Yes. And then I would add a second part to that. I'd say, then is this anti my children? And the answer is yes. If they're anti-American, they're anti your children. And if you support these organizations that are anti-American, that are anti your children with your dollars, and if you're not being charged dollars, it's with your eyeballs, right? If you're not being charged money, you're the product, right? So if you support them with your eyeballs, with ratings, with money, then you are funding the very people that wish to irreparably harm your children. So the next time you think, I don't like this company, but I really enjoy this, say those two things to yourself, and I promise you it will give you a completely new perspective of how you interact with these companies. So boycott Target, boycott all of these anti-American companies. But years ago I came across Owen Benjamin, and that community had a different outlook on the world than I had at the time, where at the time I was trying to tell everyone the problems with the world. I was like, well, don't you see the Federal Reserve Bank? And don't you see how corrupt everything is? But that community was doing things different. And what they were doing was, can really be summed up in this one motto. It's one thing not to comply. It's another thing not to rely. It's one thing not to comply. Yeah, Kohl's, Amazon, Netflix, Disney, all terrible companies. It's one thing not to comply. It is another thing not to rely. Right? Because you saw after March of 2020, all of the different things they tried to get us to do. And we saw how they did it too, right? They're like, no, you're going to cover your ability to breathe because if you don't, you can't get into the grocery store and you can't buy food. Oh, okay, so now I'm learning, right? Oh, they try to control us with food. Well, now I homestead, right? And I grow my own food and I have chickens and they lay a ton of eggs. They're amazing animals. They're cheap. They're easy to care for, right? They told people that they couldn't do their job. They couldn't work unless they would get certain procedures, right? You got to cover your face. You have to get this procedure or you can't work. Because they knew, the powers that be knew that most people are in debt. They have college debt, they have mortgage debt, and they can use their reliance on paying back that debt on their job to control people. So the lesson I learned from that is you don't want to be in debt. So at the time, I had been very successful as a young man. I had made a lot of money. I had the metaphorical white picket fence in one of the most affluent towns in the United States of America. I had a young, absolutely smoking hot wife, and everything that I was supposed to do, I did. And I was realizing, I was like, oh, they sell you a bill of goods. I mean, not my wife. That's the right thing. But like the American dream that they were selling, this get a mortgage, go into debt, and get as much as you can. But like that was all a lie. That's slaves are made in such ways, right? That's one of my favorite scenes in a movie ever. Mel Gibson, the greatest living American actor, in Braveheart, right? And he's talking to the Queen, and the Queen's like, "We will give you gold, titles." He's like, "Gold, titles," and the Queen says, "Peace is made in such ways," and he just cuts her off in the middle of her sentence. Slaves are made in such ways. But there's truth in that, right? Houses, cars, mortgages, slaves are made in such ways. So in the middle of the sham hammock situation, I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? Let's drop this life. Let's sell our house. Let's move across. Hey, Rocky. Red Pill Rocky in the house. Everyone should follow. I said, you know what? Let's sell our house. Let's move across the country and let's do that thing we've talked about. Like, let's go get a farm and get chickens and start growing food and just live a crazy, amazing life that people talk about but people don't do. And we sold our house and we moved to a more affordable part of the country, and we just started doing it. And I was fortunate enough that I was able to do it out of debt, and I understand that for everyone that's not always feasible right away, but it's just the ideal, right? You want to work as hard as you can to live within your means and stay out of debt, and you'll get there when you get there. Don't get upset. Don't feel like, oh my God, I have these bills, I have credit cards, you'll get there. Just make it the goal, right? Everything, if you're going to climb a mountain, you don't just jump on top of that mountain. You have to climb it step by step. And it takes practice, and it takes building up your body and everything that goes into that. Well, we set ideals, and then we work toward those ideals. And at the same time we were doing that, and this was 2020, I had just started writing these books, and I had started writing the Cubs to Bears children book series and books on free speech and the right to bear arms and all of these very important freedom-oriented topics. And so I'm writing these books, and we're moving across the country, and I really started to blow up. And I was very fortunate, and I actually thought it was a sign from God, because my first viral video that really helped me blow up with the books actually happened the day I left New York, and I was driving down the southern coast of the United States, and all of a sudden my phone was going off like it never had before. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm doing the right thing here. Like, this is a sign that this is what I was supposed to do. This is my path. I'm following the right path. And I really started to grow my business where I'm selling my books, and all of a sudden I was selling a lot of books, and I was getting a lot of traction on social media. Those eyeballs we talked about, right? Currency, right? Right now, you're not giving me money, but you're paying me with currency. Because what you're doing by being here, you add value to what I'm doing and everything I'm trying to build. Well, again, the same, when you watch the NFL, you're giving value to them, right? So it's the same concept. And I had become successful enough to do the books full time. And going into January 1st of last year, I said, you know what, I'm going to go at this full time. And that's it. I took the leap. And that was it. I was not going to be an employee anymore. So I went full-fledged at the business, and we're selling the books, but I started to build out curriculum. I said, yeah, the books are good, but we can do more. And I started building out original curriculum. And I didn't know what that would entail or where that would lead me. And now we're looking, it's 18 months. It's been a little more than 18 months, 18 months and 9 days, right? And I mean, we have full courses on the Bill of Rights, on the American Revolution, on the United States Constitution, on how to identify propaganda, on logical fallacies and logical thinking, on the origins of Thanksgiving, and on the Iroquois, who people on here think that I'm against the Iroquois because I talk about the truth of the Iroquois. I like the Iroquois. That's why I'm teaching a class on the Iroquois. Like, I like the Iroquois. But I'm not going to lie about them. Like, the Iroquois, they were some ruthless, they were, they did things the way they did things. And I'm not going to lie about that. It's the truth. So, but yeah, the Iroquois are cool. And then we've built out just so much curriculum, an entire health swap unit studies where children are not just learning about the things that you need to know to live healthy, but they're actually doing things and developing skills, like going in the laundry room, doing an audit of all the chemicals in the laundry room, and then making organic laundry detergent, like that type of thing. And learning through gardening, like entire unit studies on where children are planting seeds, they're constructing garden boxes, hammer and nail construction. I'm really big into teaching children skills, like hammer and nail construction, and any skills you could really teach them, because then we can use those skills to get them entrepreneurial experience and start getting them ready to live what I call an education worthy of freedom, right? To live a free and independent life by the time they're 18 years old. So they're constructing garden boxes, planting seeds, and they are, wish I had you as a teacher, thank you. Planting seeds and testing their fertilizer, testing their soil, making at-home fertilizer, and learning about soil biology and photosynthesis, and studying good and bad garden bugs, and then making things like ladybug feeders and bee baths to try to attract the bugs that we want in our garden. And at the end of the summer, they do all that. They actually build a real greenhouse outside for the fall, and they have an end of summer business event. And they actually host a business event using the crops that they grew over the summer. And this is just one assignment, and we have so much that we've built out in 18 months. Right now, I've been building out math curriculum, and is catching birds using slingshots a useful skill? It could be if you're hungry. Hunting's a useful skill. So, see, now you derailed me. Where was I? So we did, so right now I'm building out math curriculum, and we're doing it in the Charlotte Mason story, where the Charlotte Mason style, where children are learning math through these living stories, and we're just building out this curriculum, building. We have our science curriculum, which is all based, it's really in two parts. We have our observation series, where in early childhood, we really want our children to observe the world. Rather than telling them this is what the world is, I want them to go out into nature and look at the moon. I want them to look at the sun, and I want them to pull the bark off a tree and take a flower apart and look at all the parts and draw it and take pictures, right? We want our children to interact with the world because we want to develop what I like to call observational confidence in children. Observational confidence in our children. And then the second part of that is the scientific method series, where children are doing these weekly experiments, and the experiments aren't designed just to teach the science, but they're actually designed to challenge the children to engage with the scientific method, right? To develop a relationship with the scientific method, right? So we are teaching our children to think critically through the way we teach them science. We're teaching them to think critically through the way we teach them about history, and we're teaching them to see the world from a systems perspective rather than from a reactive perspective. And here's what I mean by that. If you go onto Facebook or any of these platforms, you'll see a lot of people that are reactive. The news says something and people react. But what they're showing you is a facade, right? You could use everything that happened from March of 2020 on as an example of that. You see a facade. They say there's this horrible thing going on. Have I disavowed Owen Benjamin? No, Owen Benjamin's my guy. He always has been. I stay out of it because I don't like that people try to make controversies and whatnot, but like Owen's always been my guy. So you have March of 2020, right? And the news comes and they say there's this big scary thing, right? And people see that and they react, and you see it, literally you could see it on their face when you go in public, right? It's apropos. So that's the facade. But if you understand the world from a systems level, if you view the world from a systems level, you understand that politicians and the news are impacted by lobbyists. So what we do is we teach children what lobbyists do, what a lobbyist is. We study Jack Abramoff, who was a famous lobbyist who wound up going to jail and then really spilled the beans on the activities that he and other lobbyists engage in. Lobbying is a nice word for bribery, right? So we go into lobbyists. We study the revolving door of government bureaucrats who go on to get cushy paying jobs working for these big corporations, right? We study how bills are written and how through lobbying and the revolving door that bills are actually written by big corporations, then handed to government bureaucrats who pass them forward, and that's how they become laws. We study things like the opioid crisis and read the actual reports, press release reports from the Department of Justice about these companies engaging in activities like kickbacks. We study how the kickback systems work. We study how insurance companies will reward people in a certain profession for providing certain types of preventative care. And we get into these systems. You say, look at all these systems that are in place. And your children could start to see the world from a systems level and start to see past the facade of the scary things that they're going to talk about on the screen, whether it be something like we just talked about, whether it be something like war, whatever it might be, your children are able to see past that. Not that we want them to see it at a young age. We don't show them the horror, but we start to teach them how these systems function, the interconnectivity between government, between finance, and between industry, corporations, non-governmental organizations, and whatnot. So everything we're doing is geared toward teaching children critical thinking. And as I've had this life experience, as I've built out a parallel system, I'm literally rebuilding the education system from the ground level. And because of that, I've had a very unique perspective into what it takes to actually defeat the beast system, what it takes to actually build the country we want and to earn our freedom. And at the beginning of this talk, I brought up Target, and I said, look what happened with Target. Look how people were outraged, which is great, and they're boycotting, which is great. But when you start to build parallel systems, like the parallel education system I'm building, you see how difficult it is to build competition to the beast system outside of that beast system, right? You see how difficult that is, because as I start building this education company, all of a sudden there's all these issues. Or, oh, I'm just going to make curriculum. No, all of a sudden, Stone Wall Street, Bradley, welcome here. I need to talk to you. I have big plans. I know I texted you a week or two ago, but I got to get you going now. So as you're building these systems, you start to see all of the why it's so difficult to build competition to the beast, because it's not about just building curriculum, right? Like, I need terms and conditions. I need contracts with people building curriculum and educators, and I need affiliate contracts, and you have to bring in lawyers, right? So now I'm dealing with lawyers. I need to talk with lawyers to make sure what I'm doing is legal and I'm not going to be arrested for structuring things the way I have, right? So all of a sudden, you're dealing with all these lawyers. And then some money starts to come in, and you have to pay this person and that person, and you're building curriculum. So now you have to bring in people to track that money, and you have to bring in accountants. And as you start to grow, like I originally built Homeschools Connected on Discord. Well, that wasn't cutting it. I needed a formal platform. So now you're dealing with hosting companies, and you're dealing with tech people that have to revamp and build your website, and have to do things with payment processors where they're setting up systems so that when one thing happens, it triggers another thing. And all of a sudden, you have all of these responsibilities and all of these bills, and then that hasn't even touched on that you're dealing with customers. And now we have thousands of people who use our educational materials, and now you're dealing with customers, and you're getting all of the inboxes from the customers, questions about this, questions about that, and you have to make sure that you're doing good customer service. And then you have the inquiries from people who are potential customers. So you're getting messages from people on Facebook every day. You're getting messages from people on Instagram every day. You're getting messages from people on TikTok every day. You're getting emails every day. Anyways, you're getting emails every day, and you have to manage all of these different things, and all of this stuff costs money, right? All of this stuff has an operation cost, and because of that, you could only build so quickly. So if you really want to beat Target, if you really want to beat the beast system, we as a people have to shift our consciousness from a point of we are going to boycott when we're outraged. And instead of doing that, and we could do that too, but we have to support people who are doing things like I'm doing with as much passion as we boycott Target when we're outraged, right? Because Andrew Torba, people talk about free speech. Andrew Torba has been building a free speech platform with Gab from the grassroots level, right? Andrew Torba has dealt with, he's been banned by Apple, Gab, and they have overcome that, funding through their customers, and now they have their own servers, they've set up their own payment processors, they've built a parallel economy that supports freedom-oriented businesses. But at the same time, from a company like Gab, you're not going to get as good customer service right away, right? Like when you email them, you might not get answered back right away because they're doing it without the bank loans, because they're doing it without debt, so that they can't be controlled by the bank and they can't be controlled by investment firms like BlackRock, right? Well, that means they can't always hire all the people, right? Like sometimes I have emails in my inbox that people are like, hey, I'm interested in your homeschool company. Can you tell me more? And I don't answer them back for 2 or 3 weeks, because as I'm building out and I'm paying tech guys and I'm paying lawyers and I'm paying accountants and I'm building original curriculum, there's only so much money to go around to hire help. So these companies that are trying to build parallel systems need your support. They need your help. And if you really want to stick it to Target, you support the mom and pop shops that could be their competition, that the American people have quit on because, well, things are cheaper at Target, things are cheaper at Walmart, but there's a reason things are cheaper at Target. There's a reason things are cheaper at Walmart. So on the one hand, you're getting cheaper products. On the other hand, you are giving the beast what they need to enslave your population. Yeah, don't worry about the trolls. It's very sad, and this kind of gets into it, right? This gets into you could let what you hate control you, or you can really get passionate about what you support. And when you get passionate about what you support, that's how you change the world. Like Amy's all angry about. Hold on, that paused for a second. Amy's all angry. Pause due to poor connection. You guys see me? Hear me? Yeah, like that person's all angry about Owen Benjamin because, I'm sure she was triggered about something or whatnot. But the truth is, what that guy has done is pretty remarkable, right? I mean, someone who has been kicked out of Hollywood and banned from a lot of different things, such as including PayPal, and with a lot of power structures trying to make what he was trying to do very difficult, yet they've been managed to create alternative culture. They have the Bertaria Times magazine, which I've written for. I've written, I think, for 3 of the magazines now, and I strongly recommend that you buy the Bertaria Times magazine. They just released a new one. It's an honor that I'm able to write for them. So they're building alternative culture. They've made the Bertaria Times app. They're building alternative culture, a place where people can go and there's none of the horror of Babylon. There's no look at the horrible things that's happening. It's all just people posting about homesteading and how to garden and useful things that can actually improve your life. So these people are building parallel systems in spite of great obstacles. And the more we shift away from, hey, let's focus on what we're angry about, to, hey, let's identify the good things in the world and really support those things. And yesterday, I saw how powerful that support could be, because we had I don't know the ins and outs of it, I'm not a technician, but a glitch, a crazy glitch. And within 2 hours, we had sent out 99 emails to our members. You got 99 emails and I promise it's done. And, I was trying to run this business and I see this happening and I can't stop it. It's like a disaster. And I'm freaking out about it. But then I go into our Discord community and what do I see? All of our members just making fun of me. Like, hey, Brett, can you send me another email? And them making fun of me completely relieved all that pressure, all that tension. Like you do the things I do and try to take on the challenges I take on. There's a lot of pressure in it, and there's a lot of responsibility to everything, the way I carry myself. Like I've learned that even because I teach my classes and I really connect with my students, that my students will find their way onto like my general social media live streams. So I'm like, oh wow, I even need to be cognizant when I'm on general social media, like what I talk about and how I present it, because I am an influence over these young people and I need to be a good role model, right? And I try to live that in my life. And I didn't want my children to grow up thinking that everyone drinks alcohol. So I haven't drank alcohol in, I don't know how long, but over 3 years I haven't drinking alcohol, because I don't want my children to see that. And I treat their mother a certain way and I approach responsibility a certain way. And I always let my children see, I always let them see me admitting I'm wrong. Seldom a day goes by where I don't say, oh man, I was wrong. Yeah, Daddy was wrong about that. Because the ability to let go of your ego and admit you were wrong is one of the greatest character strengths that a person could develop. So I have to be that role model, right? But anyway, so getting back to what I was talking about, I was in this position of stress, and my community once again came to my support. And I'm still in that position of stress, by the way. They're still trying to work out the email situation. Because of that, we're not even taking new signups right now, and probably not for the next day or two while they get everything straightened out. And that's fine. I told them, please stop emailing people. Just shut down all the emails, shut down the signups, and get it corrected. And then we'll take it from there. People can sign up after that. So like you're dealing with all these stresses, and it's the people that support. It's Melissa RVing across America and David, all of you that support me, that make what I do possible, right? And everything might not always be as smooth because we're not going to take the bank loans, and we're not going to be controlled by the banks and the investment firms. We're going to build it from the grassroots level. Everything we've done has been funded by our members just buying $15 a month subscriptions, which is, it's remarkable, and I'm blessed to have you guys. And but just going through this whole thing for the last 24 hours, it really gives me perspective as to what it takes to defeat the beast system. So if you take away anything from this talk, just let it be that we need to support what we believe in as hard as we boycott what we are against. See, that's like the real version of love trumps hate, right? Like, yes, support what you love in this world, because it's easy to be like, I hate all these things, right? Like, yeah, these people that do the things that Target does, I feel a certain way about them. It does. It makes you feel angry. But they don't matter. That's why I get people on my videos. They're like, well, how does any of this help us with what they're doing? And I'm like, I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what Klaus Schwab is doing. Klaus Schwab should care what I'm doing, right? Anytime you get in a chess match, you get in a football game, yes, your opponent has a plan. And your plan can't be to just complain about what your opponent is doing. Your plan has to be to build parallel systems. And that's what we're doing. And Benji Bear, I know, we need to talk. I know. Yeah, we need to talk. Maybe we could jump on a call this week. That's really what I wanted to cover today. My little girl loves your book. I only have one book so far. Definitely going to get more. You're one of the legends. Thank you. And I have 7 books in total. And Cubs to Bears, you can find them at classicallearner.com. Does your platform include a complete curriculum and research on other ones? Well, one of the things you get access to when you join Homeschools Connected is our Discord group. And within our Discord group, we actually do have research of all other curriculums broken down, so you can read about other curriculums that are available in case you're interested in something specific or whatnot. And as far as our curriculum, we have been building out for 18 months now. We don't cover everything. I don't like you to think we cover everything. But we do have curriculum for K through 12, and I think you'll be shocked how extensive it is for only 18 months. I mean, I have released at least one lesson plan or unit study every day for the last year and a half, and usually it's, 2 lessons, 3 lessons, entire unit studies. So what we do is rather extensive, and I think I could say with confidence, it is the most unique, truther, freedom-oriented curriculum, I'd say not just in America, I'd say in the world. And I stand by that, so. No, Amy, see, your behavior it's like unhinged. It's very weird to go into someone's chat and be like, you need to disavow this person. How can you associate yourself with this person? I don't like this person. Like, that's very unhinged behavior. Like, this is what I'm talking about. You're obsessed with what you hate. You're obsessed with it. When I don't like someone, I don't watch their stuff. I don't engage with it. Like, you'll never see me commenting on, under someone's post that I don't like. I literally just ignore it, and I go on, and I just live my life. And I certainly wouldn't go into their chat and be like, you need to disavow this person. And then when the person answers you and says, no, that's someone who I like, for you to harass them about it. Like, I think it's weird. Owen Benjamin is a friend of mine. I have been on Owen's stream. I've had a real conversation with Owen. Like, we sat and kicked it for an hour. Yes, people were watching. Owen's a cool guy. I like Owen. You don't like some things about his personality, that's fine. I do. So it's very weird behavior. It's no one appreciates it. No one like everyone understands your opinion. If you guys didn't know, Amy Burr Ozarkian doesn't like Owen Benjamin. We understand that, right? Like that's not what this stream is about. This stream's not about Owen. I like Owen. I'll talk about him. Like I'm not going to shy away from it, but it's very weird behavior. And it really is something where you should look in the mirror and say, why am I acting this way? Like, why do I think it's appropriate to hijack a chat, go in there and be like, you have to not like this person. You have, like, that's weird behavior. Like, I don't even know you. That's weird behavior. It's like one thing if you were my sister and you called me on the phone and were like, hey, Brett, I really don't think this person's a good person. You're like, I'm a person on the internet and you're coming on here and you're talking about my friend. And you're like, oh, you need to disavow him. No, I'm not going to disavow my friend. I don't know you. You don't know the relationship I have with Owen, who, by the way, had a massively positive impact on my life. Because when I woke up to the world, all I wanted to do was point out the problems. And he was one of the major influences that showed me, no, it's not about pointing out the problems. It's about building alternatives, which inspired me to write books and start a homeschool company. And then when I did that, Owen was kind enough to share out the books that I wrote, to read them on his stream, to support the business that I was starting, right? And someone in that position, like, I understand that. Like, you're like, oh, that guy just gives people, he just supports their businesses. Like, I have hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, and one of the things you learn is when you have that type of following, people inbox you and they're willing to pay you a lot of money to promote their businesses, right? I understand that because I have a following. And by the way, I have not taken money to promote people's businesses. The only person I ever took money from to promote their business was Paola Brown. And I took an affiliate code from her, and that's because she is dope. Paola Brown is fire, and she created a K through 12 curriculum in which she teaches young children homeopathy, and they actually do like actual homeopathy, like they make remedies and whatnot. So when you get in that position, people offer you money to promote their stuff, and people don't understand how amazing it is of that man, of Owen, to promote all these people's businesses and small businesses. So like, I understand you have an opinion, I have an opinion, and you need to learn basic decorum of, oh, okay, that person likes someone that I don't like. That's okay. That's like, we're all adults here. That's okay. It's not appropriate for you to keep badgering my chat and saying, oh, you have to disavow this person. In fact, if you try to get me to disavow this person, I will openly use my influence to talk about what a great person I believe that man to be, and I'll actually drive more people to them. The opposite of what you want, right? So just go away. Like, it's amazing. As a teacher, I love what you're doing. Keep up the wonderful work. Right. Yeah, I'm done with my rant about that person. Yeah, you could find Owen. His paid platform is unauthorized.tv. His app, which is amazing, is the Beartaria Times app. That's the Beartaria Times app. And he's on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute. He posts I think he live streams at those platforms as well. I usually watch on Unauthorized. When I can watch, because I'm so busy these days, I usually catch the replays. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. So the moral of the story, and we kind of got a microcosm of what that looks like, is you can fixate on what you hate, or you can support what you believe in. So as I said, for anyone that wants to support what I do, you can't right now. We're literally, our website is shut down right now. I told the tech people to shut it all down, get it fixed, and we'll reopen it in a couple days. But if you want to support what I do, classicallearner.com, Homeschools Connected. It is $15 a month to educate your children, or some people just sign up to support what we do. And like I said, that should be available again in the next day or 2 or 3. But either way, tech people doing what they do. So good talk. I covered everything I wanted to cover, and I will see you next time. So again, community, thank you so much for your support. I really was stressed out yesterday, and just seeing you guys kind of make fun of me about it, and it made me laugh a lot, and it completely took the stress out of the room. So all right guys, it's been lots of fun, but I got to run.